Well, hello, Houston. I'm Elizabeth Liz Miranda, your bilingual realtor with Miranda Properties, and welcome to our show, Casa y Vida Houston. First thing, as always, we want to recognize our sponsors. Our sponsors for our show. The first one is Susie Condelopoulos. Susie is a loan officer with Gateway Mortgage. She is bilingual, and if you're looking to get approved for a home loan or refinance, give her a call at 281-250-2696. And our next sponsor is Texas Low Cost Insurance Agency. They are located in Deer Park, Texas, but they can help you anywhere in Texas. Remember that they do specialize in homeowners insurance, and you need to get that flood insurance also. So give them a call at 281-941-2863. Today we have a great show lined up for you, and we are going to be talking to Laura Lopez Cano very shortly. She was one of the artists that involved in the Mexican-American mural by the Heritage Society. So I'm sure a lot of you know Laura, but those of you that do not, you don't want to miss this. So we'll get with her in a little bit. First thing I want to do is to also introduce our co-host, Sonia Rivera.
Hi everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us.
So Sonia, how was your weekend, first of all?
It was great. I was mentioning to you that I went to the Mexican soccer game where they played Uruguay. I'm going to say it in English. They played Uruguay on Friday, and it was actually my very first soccer game. I've never been to a live soccer game other than high school soccer. And it was very exciting. I got really caught up in the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. Well, I'm looking forward to another one.
Well, that's good. I don't really go to soccer games, but I definitely go to football games. And in fact, one of the things that I've been doing is what I did over the weekend was go to my granddaughter's football game. She she doesn't participate in football, but she's actually a cheerleader and also in drill for her football team in Deer Park. And then, of course, my son is also a football player, so I went to his game also, and of course, I'm going to his next game today. So very, very busy weekends that we've had. And of course, right now with the weather, all of us are a little bit worried about the weather, so we hope that everything turns out okay.
So what do you take with you when you go to the football games? Do you take any reading? Because unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of sports, so I was always playing on my phone, unfortunately.
No, my son would kill me if I was playing on the phone. So I do take a little bit. I read on my phone, on my iPhone before the game starts. But once the game starts, I have to admit I can't follow the game too well, other than just following him. So I know his number and I follow him around, and I know when they score. That much I do know.
Well, do you have good eyesight though?
Yes, okay. I do. And if not, I actually have binoculars.
Because that was my problem, is I would lose my son back many years ago when he was in football. I would lose my son, and I'm trying to find him. And
yeah, no, I actually have binoculars. I have binoculars, so I can keep track of him of where he's at.
Good.
All right. But, as always, we like to talk about a little bit about real estate. Obviously, I am a real estate agent, so I do like to talk a little bit about real estate. So today, I just want to give you a quick tip on pricing your home to sell. So, Sonia, as our non-realtor on the show, do you have any idea how we come up with a price to sell your home?
I actually was wondering that, because I think last week we addressed it in the show. We were talking about why some neighborhoods are more expensive than the other one. And I think that as a homeowner, of course, you'd want to maximize your investment and sell it for the highest rate possible. So how do you guys decide?
Well, that's right. I actually had forgotten that. I did forget that last week you brought that up. You asked us why are homes more valuable in one, or higher priced in one community than another.
Yeah.
So let me explain to you. When you want to sell your home, the first thing you should do is call a real estate agent. The real estate agent is going to conduct a CMA, a comparative market analysis. And what that means, in simple terms, is that as your realtor, for example, I am going to find similar homes in your immediate area. Find homes that compare to your home and see what they sold for. Right? So I'll look for and we always look at the last 6 months. So we always want to find at least 3 homes in the last 6 months that's sold in your immediate area. So if you see right here the chart that we have on the screen, it says we're going to take into consideration the location of your home. So we need to look at homes only around your immediate area. Then of course we're going to look at the condition. So it has to, we're going to compare it to homes that are more or less the same condition as your home, not over improved or not under improved. And of course we always look at the market conditions, right? And then that's how we come up with a competitive price. So if we find 3 homes in your community that are very similar to yours and they all are selling for about $200,000, it would make sense that you should sell your home around $200,000.
I do have a question on improvements, because I know that we all have different tastes, and we've also addressed on the show before different colors and crazy colors when you're trying to sell your home. What about, I would say, like bath and kitchen remodels are probably the most common, right? Or landscaping. So what about, what advice do you have to the homeowner who's really invested a lot of money into their home, like on finishes or landscaping, and the market value is just not there?
Well, first of all, you should always think about that before you make those upgrades, because it's one thing if you updated it and everyone else is updating them also. Okay, you don't want to over improve your property. So if your home, if you bought it in the 80s and you're just bringing it up to, to current, right? Just like everyone else, you're remodeling like all the other homes, then they're all going to be priced the same. But if you're over improving it, putting very expensive materials, then you're just not going to get it. You really are not. It's going to sell a little bit more than other homes, but you're not going to get really what you put into your home. So before you upgrade your home, you need to take into consideration what homes in the neighborhood are selling for, or you're going to have a hard time selling it. I'm not saying you can't sell it, but you're going to have a hard time. So go ahead.
Well, and there's a difference between updates, right, and updating to your specific taste. So
Right. The thing is that sometimes people will say, well, I just put a new roof on my house and I spent $6,000, so I should get $6,000 more than the other person. No, what you did is you replaced the roof, because it needed to be replaced. So it's now just the same as the other homes. Now it's not a home that has a bad roof. Right?
So you don't lose money on it.
So you're not losing money, right? So it's one thing to bring it up to the standards that it's supposed to be, and it's another thing to make additional improvements. So the bottom line is that we're going to come up with a certain price, and so if I tell you that homes are selling for $200,000, then in order for you to sell your home, because there might be other homes that are for sale, right? If you want to sell your home, you have a choice. You can either list it at the average listing price, you could price it higher, or you could price it lower. You might say, well, I want to price it higher. Let's say I recommend $200,000, and you're like, well, I really want to try to get more money, so I want to list it at $210,000. You can do that. However, by you pricing it higher, a lot of people that are only qualified for $200,000, they're not even going to look at your home. So that's going to cause you to have a lot fewer people look at your home. Not only that, but you're actually helping to sell the other homes. Because if there are other homes in your community that are comparable to your home and they're listed for $200,000 or $198,000 or $199,000, yours is listed at $210,000, they're going to say, oh, okay, no, that house is too expensive. They're not even going to look at your house. They're going to buy the other ones first. So you're actually helping to sell their home.
So why am I going to pay $210,000 when I can pay $200,000 and this one's just as nice?
Exactly. Now, of course, if there are other homes that are already listed at 200 or say 201, 202, 205, I would probably recommend that you list it at 198, a little bit under, right? Because now your house is going to be more attractive and your house is going to sell faster. All right. So, and I have that information on the screen. Of course, this show is recorded, so you can, guys, whoever's watching, you can always come back and watch it and review this. So, basically, you can price something above the suggested market value, but it's going to take longer. You're going to have fewer people looking at it. If you price it lower, yeah, you could have multiple offers, and some people are, might even offer more than you're actually than the value. But you're taking a big chance, a big risk. So I would certainly suggest that you consider the market value. Okay. Any other questions?
I think, back to the initial question about the improvements, I'm kind of stuck on that. Because the reason I bring it up is because I knew somebody who was installing new floors. They had tile, and they went and put some really, really beautiful floors in, but they were marble. And, of course, that wasn't something that was standard for that neighborhood. So I guess I'm always, really curious. It would be good for people to note that, to make a note of that, that certain materials are not desirable for everybody.
Right. Yeah, because first of all, some people it might not be worth it to other people. So you may have spent, say, $5,000 on putting that beautiful tile throughout your house, right? And that was worth it to you, but to some other people, they might not find it attractive, or it might not be worth it to them. They might think that they have to cover it up with carpet. So I mean, certainly, if your house has a better better quality granite, tile, and nice bathrooms, of course, it is going to sell higher than the other homes, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get, if it's over improved, you can be over improved. That doesn't mean that you're going to get that money. Because the other thing is your house might not appraise. And because the way that when an appraiser comes out to appraise your home to determine the value, they're going to do exactly what I just told you that I would do, which is they're going to look at the homes in the immediate area that are similar to your home and how much are they selling for.
Are there any improvements that a homeowner should do prior to listing their house to get a better price for it?
Well, certainly, first of all, you want to make sure that it's an attractive home, that it compares to the other homes. You want to, of course, obviously, for it to be, you can paint, carpet, a nice kitchen, a nice bathroom are always going to be good investments. And certainly, kitchens really sell homes. People really care about the kitchens being nice. If you have an outdated kitchen, you want to remodel your kitchen. That'll really help you a lot. Remodeling your bathrooms also will help you a lot. But the only thing is you have to be careful with the material that you use. Don't overdo it. In other words, for instance, if I'm going to, as an investor, if I buy a home in one area, I might use certain materials, not low quality materials, but just standard materials, versus if I buy a home in a very nice neighborhood that I know the homes sell well, I am going to invest in better quality materials.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, I hope that has really helped you guys as far as our tip, as far as how we come up with a price of the home. I know that certainly for sellers, they get very attached to their homes. They live there for many years. They've put a lot of money into their homes, and so they get very attached. And sometimes they're like, "This is what I want for the home," and I understand that completely. But sometimes you've got to go with what the home is going to sell for, right? It really, it's the market.
I can completely relate to that, because I think when you've spent a certain amount of time in a home, you have an emotional investment, not just materials and the length of time that you've lived there. But I think that a seller has so many memories attached to their home, so it's very difficult probably to accept maybe the market rate, if it's because nothing can compare to the memory, to the value of memories that you create in a home. So I would imagine that is very difficult for a homeowner to come to an agreement on a price.
Yes, it is. But that's why we're here. That's why we're here, to help you understand, how we come up with the price and understand what is the best way to price your home and get the most out of your home. All right. Well, guys, we are going to go on to a commercial, and then when we come back, we are going to have our guest, Laura Lopez Cano. So we'll see you in a little bit. Casa y Vida Houston, and now we are going to introduce you to Laura Lopez Cano. She is one of the artists that was commissioned by the Heritage Society for the Mexican American History and Culture 20th Century Houston Mural. So Sonia, would you please tell us a little bit about Laura and introduce her?
While I've known Laura for a very long time, I want to go ahead and read off of this page a little bit, because she is a very distinguished guest. She has numerous accomplishments, and I can't possibly do her justice. So I am going to read off of this. Laura Lopez Cano is a widely acclaimed and recognized artist. Her images invoke the tender but powerful manifestations of womanhood, culture, and heritage. And we have some that we'll be showing you later on in the show, but they're very beautiful, colorful images, and they really do invoke a lot of emotion. For me, when I look at her art, it just reminds me of home, of my children, of my family. Her main focus is on depictions of women, and she also focuses on interpretations of Latino Hispanic folk art with images of Day of the Dead, Tree of Life, and Loteria. Her work has been featured in countless galleries, private exhibits, and fine arts shows throughout the United States, receiving the honor of Best of Show on several occasions. So, Laura, why don't you tell us a little bit? I know that you have several affiliations as well, so why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Okay, hi. Thank you for having me, first of all. And I have had the pleasure of being able to travel the country depicting the feminine, but mostly Latinas. And I think that's the strength of our community. So when we think of Latinas, we think of our mothers and our grandmothers, of our hijas, right? So to me, it is a powerful image to give root to our community.
I was gonna say, actually, yeah, that's true. I mean, your work is so beautiful. I mean, so beautiful. Of
Thank
course.
you.
I mean, I've known you myself also for many years, kept up with your work also. But I wanted to go ahead and start off actually with this mural. So if you would please, that's the main thing right now is let us know about this mural which we have here. Tell us about it, how it came about.
Well, it was an idea of Mike Vance, who is one of the directors at the Heritage Society. He needed, he said he was tired of walking through the plaza and that there was this big open space in the back of a wall. But he also knew that there was something missing at the Heritage Society. So though it's a living museum, is what they call it, because the houses that you see there are from Texas. They date back, centuries. But and they also speak about how Texas began, who were the people that built it, and there's a lot of African American history there too. But the story of the Mexican American immigrant, and specifically Mexican Americans, because we were the first to arrive here, right? And so to build this community, it was lacking. There was nothing there for recognition. And so he thought, well, we can put up a mural and speak on the Mexican American flight. I mean, what they did, what happened here from the very beginning. But the most important part is that it is now part of the tour that they will be giving as part of the Heritage Society.
Laura, I noticed that a lot of the images, I was just looking at them as they had them up on the board, and so many of the people are people that I recognize as community leaders and people that have really been trailblazers in our community. Who identified those people to depict? Was that you, or did somebody?
Well, not really. We actually were given this enormous list of people. I mean, they did bring a committee from the community together to identify who should be depicted or not. And you really don't want to leave people out, but you also want to be conscious that we only have space for so
Sure.
much.
Sure.
And so who were the leaders? Who made a difference? And I mean, some of the people that were depicted there were the first graduates of Rice University in 1930s. And who was Lidia Mendoza, right, who was a huge Tejana musician for the time, and also you have to understand that at that time there was segregation. So you want to speak about the time, you want to speak about what they brought. There's, of course, the most recognizable image there is of Ninfa, right, an entrepreneur. And so, and then you have to kind of go through the list without trying to leave anybody out and trying to give a really good representation of what happened in Houston. So I know that I learned a lot, not being from Houston originally, but boy, did I learn a lot, and I learned a lot about people who were first in the military and people who not only made a difference in our politics, but also made a difference in the education of our children.
I think this is definitely an opportunity to take school trips, school tours and field trips with children and our own children, our own families to, there's so many talking points in the picture. I mean, you can really identify so many individuals and so many, just in the scenes that you depicted, there's so many opportunities. It's a learning lesson. It's a teaching opportunity in respect to Mexican American culture. I love it. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. You did a wonderful job.
And one of the things that I liked, of course, is that it not only has the the past but the present. I mean, to include people like Gracie Sines, who is still
Yes.
living, people like that. They're people that we still know in our generation. I mean, what an honor, and I'm sure what an honor for her to know that this is going to be there forever. And
It is, and I mean, there's even a depiction of Kennedy and Jackie, and of course the Johnsons, because LULAC was the first to bring them here. He's the first sitting president who actually solicited the Latino vote, the Hispanic vote. He knew how important that was, and it was also an important date because it was the day before he went to Dallas.
Dallas, uh-huh.
So I didn't even know that. I didn't know that he was here. And you can actually Google YouTube and see the actual footage of them being here. But how important how important LULAC was, right? To be able to solicit the President of the United States and bring him to speak to the community.
And that was very important. I really, I was impressed when I saw that, when I saw, Kennedy on there, because I know that as someone who was still alive, during the time, who was already, during the time of Kennedy, that to my parents, that he was very important. Kennedy was very important to the Mexican American
Absolutely.
community.
Very
Absolutely.
significant role.
Very significant. Yes, absolutely.
So Laura, I've also seen on social media, I've seen that you have a lot of other artwork. So you don't only do paintings, right? Tell us a little bit about the other stuff that you do.
Well, as an artist, right, you have this privilege of being able to depict images of your community. But there's also a responsibility as an artist, as a writer, a dancer, or any of the arts, is what you put out there, right? What you put out there to the community. What do you really want to do? And for me, it also has been the focus of not only Latinas, but also of community. How do I give roots back? How do you give back to a community that there's not enough images out there, right? You want our kids to grow up and open a magazine or go to a gallery or go into Starbucks and be able to see an image reflecting back that looks like them. In a time when maybe it's not so popular to be Latino or an immigrant, I think that it's a reminder to that generation that, look, we accomplished so much, we built so much. You are important and you are seen.
So many, how long have you been an artist? I mean, was it something you were born into it, and what made you decide what kind of medium to use? Your work is very, very beautiful, very colorful. How did you, is that something that just came naturally to you? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think it back to the feminine, right, back to your mom. Very young, always painted, and I think my mom, who is an immigrant who came here as a teacher but couldn't teach, became someone who cleaned houses, but she became an entrepreneur in that she built a business, which is what we do to support our families. But I'm from the border. I'm from El Paso, Juarez. So there's a different culture there in that you have one foot in the United States and one foot in Mexico, and it's a different kind of culture. So you're very rooted, you're very grounded into your traditions, but you're also very American. And I think that my mom had an impact in that she made education important. She didn't care what we studied as long as we studied. She graduated a doctor, a lawyer, and my other brother, political science, and then here comes the artist, right? But I remember painting a mural in the back room, and she caught me. And I was like at 12, and that with one look and one, okay, that's what it's going to be, that just gave me the confidence. I mean, when you're supported at home in the career that you want to be, which is important, anything is possible.
Well, it must have been a very beautiful mural for her to say, okay. I remember my son doing his version of a mural when he was about 2, and that just did not work out for us.
Absolutely, yes.
So, well, we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break right now. And then we will come right back and talk a little bit more about Laura Lopez Canos' paintings. Welcome back to Casa, Vida, Houston. I'm Liz Miranda and my co-host Sonia Rivera, and we are talking to Laura Lopez Cano, who just recently finished the Mexican American historic mural. And so, Laura, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more, going back to the mural, about some of the people that are depicted on the mural. So, can you tell us some of the key figures that are on the mural?
Well, some of the key figures are like Macario Garcia, and you see the name on the street, but he was the first World War II veteran who actually received the Medal of Honor. And then there was a big case on that he came back to Houston area and still couldn't go into a regular bar to have a drink, right? So it was segregation again. And then there's Torres Campos, who was in the 1970s. He was also a vet who had that big, there was a big outrage in the community about, he was also involved in some kind of altercation, but then he was found dead, and the community rose up to support him. And these are the things that I didn't even know about coming into this community. So for me, it's important to have people like that. But we have Yolanda Black Navarro on it, and as you know, there's just been a school named after her. We have Felix Fraga, Felix Tejerina. We have Cristina Morales. If you know Cristina, she's the parade queen. Because we did part of it, we had to depict Fiestas Patrias, right? So what better way to depict it by doing a parade? There's the Centenos, Robert, who's the father of Norma, who really started one of the biggest bands, right? He was a trumpet player. Of course, Lidia Mendoza. And then there are just depictions of family life, abuelitos, of workers on the railroad, on the shipyards. There really is a lot to learn and a lot to look at. And what I love about it is that everybody's going to take away something. Whether there's been these amazing stories that have come out, some of the buildings that were there, the Pan American, the Teatro Azteca, which was the only place that they could see entertainment, the first LULAC house that they are actually restoring now. These are important figures and buildings, right? The community. It's kind of a look at what life must have been like that. And you have to understand that that was before Facebook and and all this media. And so you got to think these immigrants came here. How were they so disconnected, right, from their country? And how did they communicate? So they bonded together. They formed clubs, LULAC and the Mutualistas, who was a way of financing themselves into buying houses. There was several other organizations, the Settlement House, where a lot of young men and women found themselves if they didn't find a home. So it just, I know I've been there for 4.5 months, and I'm going blank.
That was my next question. How long did it take you?
What is going on?
So it took you 4.5 months?
We started in May, and a shout out to the other artist, which is Jessie Cifuentes, who is a professor at TSU, and we were both selected to do this, which is a really amazing. We're old school, both of us, and meaning that we're a little older. And then but that brings experience, and that brings respect, and that brings a different kind of mutual understanding and working together, because we had never worked together. And that's a hard thing to say, okay, here they throw this project at you, and you're hoping that it's cohesive, that it doesn't look like two artists painted it, but that it's cohesive. And he was the lead artist, and it was the female and the male. It's that balance of we were able to work together and balance that mural so that it had the masculine and the feminine, and it had the point of view. So as a female in my community, I'm going to look at things differently, and he's going to look at things differently. So I think that collaboration worked very well for the mural.
Now, is this your first mural?
No, I've done murals maybe in a smaller scale. And I think like with artists, we're multidisciplined. I mean, it's hard to say, well, I'm only a painter, I'm a potter, I'm this. As an artist, you're just full range. I mean, creativity comes in all forms, right? But the artistic part of it, the creative part of it, it doesn't matter what the medium is. That's the artist. That's what I'm saying. We're kind of old school.
Now, did you paint this small first? Did you guys paint it first small?
Yeah, it's drafted out first. Jesse did the initial design for the, and then together we collaborated as to where things should go, and there was always changes and stuff. But yeah, you have to start somewhere with an idea, and then you have to make sure that the criteria. It wasn't our criteria. I mean, when I paint in my studio in the house, of course, I don't have anything but free range. So here, you have to practice both what the client wants, what the community needs, and then what your talents come together to create something.
Yeah. So speaking of your, your other art, of course, you do create other art. So I think we have another picture of another art. Let's see if they're able to find it. I did take the liberty of grabbing some of your pictures. I mean, you have a lot of paintings, and so I think I put some together on one image. Let's see if she can pull it up in a little bit. But one of my favorite is one of the ones that you did for Las Comadres, the cover for Las Comadres. I love that. That was, I think, my first experience seeing your art, because of course I did belong to Las Comadres. Is Las Comadres still around?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I started going to Las Comadres years ago, and I just love that painting. I think that's when I first met you several years ago. But you've done Las Comadres. You also have a series for children, right?
Yes.
Is it for the kids?
Yes.
What do you call that? Niños y niñas?
The niños and niñas, and that came about finding a space for them too, right? Something that they could look at and they could relate. And I think it started with when my niece had her first baby, and I said, my goodness, we all look alike. We all have these little round faces, and these big eyes, and so it was a sweet way to represent our children in our community.
So we're gonna see. I know we've got some pictures in the. You brought some of the work that you've done most recently. Here we go. We have it right here on camera. Let me see if we can show it on yours.
Can you have this way?
Let's see.
Más?
Oh, like where you're sitting right there.
Ah, there we go.
There we go. Oh
I'm
my
not a
God,
very
that
good
is
Vanna.
absolutely Vanna White. Come on, we're gonna have to
Replace her.
replace Vanna White. So tell us about this, Laura.
So, after you come off of a hard day of being painting in the sun and 4 or 5 hours and mosquitoes and sweat and stuff, what better way to come home and relax? So these were done during the time of the mural. And this one is a depiction of, the feminine again.
Nice.
And it is the empowerment, and when it is the constant reminder when I get reminded from other women, like, that looks like my mother, and actually this is my mother.
Wow.
This looks like my mother, this looks like my tia, this looks like my children, and it is that, when you hear that, is that I need more images that look like me. I need to feel empowered. I need to see the beauty in myself.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I think we have one more.
Is this other
Let me
one?
see. We'll have one more.
Vanna needs to get fired.
Let's see. Come on, Vanna. There we go.
So,
Beautiful.
with the halo of butterflies, the monarch, right, ever changing, ever transforming, and as women especially, we are first daughters and sisters, and then we become novias and wives and mothers and stuff. So we're always transitioning, we're always changing, and it is a reflection back to our beauty, and even as we transition into our ever-ending roles, right, as women.
Well, very, very beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
So I think we have another. Let me see if we have an. Here we go. This is what I put together here. Some of your, some of the ones that I recognize the most. The paintings that I recognize the most. And there at the bottom, you've got the Niña Frida.
Uh-huh,
So
yes.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That is Frida as a baby or as a child, and I know you have a lot of, like I said, other niño y niña paintings. Of course, las comadres, which I absolutely love, and then you've got these other ones, the que es Mujer Moderna en rojo y Mujer con corazón. How old are these paintings? How long?
Well,
tell us about these.
they go back about 10, 15 years, but the painting might be sold, but as an artist, you always retain the rights to the image. So these images have been reproduced several times, either for poster art for an organization or people request it because the image you hold on to for a long time, and people still want it. So a lot of my images, I might have a lot of paintings, but my work sells within 6 months of it being painted, and it is picked up by several, especially women's organization. I'll be going down to Austin at the end of the month for the Hispanic Women's Network of Texas, where they also have supported me. And I can tell you that if you read my list of awards and stuff like that, and you say, wow, you know, I've been at the Smithsonian and United Nations and all this, but when I look at it, I don't see that. What I look at is there was a comadre, a Latina, a woman behind every one of those awards that helped me launch, you know, that helped me go forward. And I think that that's what we do as a community.
And you've actually done, you say go forward, you've done a lot to pay it forward. I mean, you've been a great mentor to the community, to women in the community. You have a whole list of organizations that you've participated in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about all of the, a few of them.
Well, here we go. So, you know, Hispanic Women's Corporation, NALAC, National Council for La Raza, LULAC, and a lot of these organizations that are national. So I've done a lot of national work and traveled nationally with the idea that why me? And why me is because there's a need out there. There's a void in, if people used to say, you paint like Frida, and that used to like upset me a little bit. I would say, well, that's kind of sad if the only other woman Latina painter that they can remember is Frida. We got to make some changes here. We got to push our young Latina artists forward.
That's true, very true. Well, tell us, Laura, where can people get a hold of you if they want to look at some more of your art or just get a hold of you?
Well, let's see. I'm in hiding right now. But no, you can always go to my website at lauralopezcano.com. And
your Facebook page also?
My Facebook page. I think Facebook is, you know, like all it's easier to upload and put new images there. But yes, and that's also Laura Lopez Cano.
Okay. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Yes, thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for that beautiful mural that's going to, you know, be there for years and years to come. We really and truly appreciate you and appreciate the Heritage Society for doing that also.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on our show. We've really enjoyed having you. Truly have. And we are going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Casa, Vida, Houston. I'm Liz Miranda. Before we end our show, we want to make some announcements. So first of all, I want to wish my granddaughter a happy birthday. My granddaughter Illyria Scott just had a birthday this past Sunday, and we spent the day at the Galleria shopping. She's only 11. She just turned 11, but you know, it was a treat to go to the Galleria and find a couple of places to go shopping and skating. So I want to wish her a happy birthday. There we go. There's Illyria. Yay.
Happy birthday, Illyria.
Illyria. And then we have some other people that just have birthdays. Sonia, anybody you want to mention?
Well, I know I'm missing several, but I want to wish Lisa Valentin. Lisa Valentin and her husband are philanthropists in Houston and very active in community and represent a lot of nonprofit organizations doing fundraisers and events for them. They're wonderful, wonderful people. So happy birthday, Lisa. Good friend of ours, Yvette Mayo. We just had her on the show last week.
Yes, yes.
Last week, she celebrated her birthday yesterday, and she's
Happy
very proud
birthday.
of being 56 now.
Yay, happy birthday.
Judge Esmeralda Peña. We love Judge Peña. She is a JP judge in the municipal courts of Houston. And a good friend of mine, Bernie Aldape III. He is an attorney in Southeast Houston. So I know I'm missing a lot of people, but those are the people that I had
Yes.
off the top of my head.
So anyone else who had a birthday this week or is having a birthday this weekend, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And next we want to talk about some upcoming events that we have coming up in the next few days. Let's see here. Sonia, tell us here about the NHPO Fiesta.
So
What is that?
next Thursday, NHPO is collaborating with Talento Bilingüe de Houston, which is located on 333 South Jensen. TBH is one of only 2 Hispanic cultural event venues in the city of Houston. And so if you've never been there, you have to go. So there is a collaboration. Next Thursday, we'll have a networking event. We've invited several artists, vendors. We'll have vendor booths, music, traditional folklorical dances, as well as the music. So it'll be a really nice event. NHPO is a professional organization, as you guys know, so bring your business cards and bring your cameras so you can take lots of pictures.
Yes, if you've never been to an NHPO, I think most people have been to an NHPO networking event, but if you haven't gone, guys, you want to go. It's open to everyone. You don't have to become a member. You can go. We also have, can we put the image again? We also have some of the, I'm sorry, before that, yeah, right here. We also have the, well, of course, there's the Taco World that you can find on, that's an event, you can find that on Facebook, but I thought that was really interesting, and that's going to be in September. But the Rubbish to Runway, that is a fashion show that's going to be held at TBH, and that's going to be on September the 22nd on Saturday. And that one is really a really neat thing. What they do is that artists will put together a fashion show, and they create things from recyclable things. Basically, they might do things where they maybe create outfits out of plastic bottles. I know my sister entered one that was plastic bottles. They'll do some that have plastic bags or just anything. They use all sorts of things to create dresses or outfits. So that's going to be at TBH. Very, very interesting. You don't want to miss that. And then the next one is a NARIP Breakthrough. That's NARIP is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. They are having an event October the 3rd. It's going to be their big event of the year, and it's basically like a real estate rally. It's going to be an all-day event from 8:30 to 6 p.m. Realtors and loan officers, you don't want to miss that event. Contact NARIP Houston. And you can also get your tickets online.
And we have a big announcement, right?
What big announcement do we have? What big announcement do we have?
So starting this Friday, we are in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. We are going to start doing margarita tasting at different restaurants around town.
Yes, yes, yes. We are having Hispanic Heritage. Yeah, exactly. As of Hispanic Heritage Month, we said we have to do something. So we decided to go around and we're going to be in search. Sonia and I will be in search of the best margarita in Houston. So we are asking you guys to help us out by telling us where you think we can find the best margarita, and we are going to sacrifice ourselves by going over there and tasting them. And we are also we're going to do shoot live videos and put them on our Facebook page, Casa y Vida Houston. So go to our Facebook page or even down below and tell us where you think we should go to try out the margaritas. All right? So that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being with us. We look forward to having you next week, every Thursday at 1 p.m. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.